I will be turning 30 next month, and my 20s have been a wild ride of discovering my personal style. I have made endless mistakes when it comes to terrible outfits, but I finally feel like I'm in a place where I'm starting to understand what really suits me. To celebrate the milestone of turning 30, I thought I would impart with you all of the wisdom I have learned over the last 10 years whilst discovering my personal style. These are the top 9 lessons that I wish I could go back and tell my 20-year-old self. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's good quality. This is by far the most painful style lesson I learned during my 20s, and the one, if you can learn this early, is going to save you the most amount of money. For a long time, I just presumed that if a brand was charging more for an article of clothing, that was because it was of a higher quality and it was going to last longer in my wardrobe. It's only now, after lots of trial and error, many mistake purchases and thousands of pounds down the drain, that I realised that couldn't be further from the truth. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that you head over to Shein or Temu after this video and just buy the cheapest clothing you can find because it's all made the same, but instead you need to judge every item that comes into your wardrobe on a case-by-case basis and learn for yourself what to look for to determine good versus bad quality. At the end of the day, brands can charge what they like for their clothing. And further than that, some brands may choose to subsidize the more premium items with items that cost less to produce. What do I mean by this? Well, let's take a brand that might be charging £100 for a blouse that is made of 100% polyester and £100 as well for a blouse that is made of 100% silk. Now, I know it's more complicated than polyester being cheaper than silk, and I know there are sometimes functional reasons for polyester to be included in clothing, but let's not get into that now. Let's just take it at face value. The polyester blouse is probably going to be cheaper to produce than the silk blouse. The higher profit margin of the polyester blouse is probably subsidizing the loss in profits from the silk blouse. There's also the law of diminishing returns. Paying more for a garment often does result in better quality, fairer working conditions, and lower environmental impact. Up to a certain point, and beyond that, you're just paying for the brand name. Most people know that if they buy a designer bag for, say, £4,000, that bag may only cost a couple of £100 to produce, and the rest of their money is going to whatever logo is slapped on the front. It can be much more subtle when it comes to the mid-range brands though, which is why it's so important we educate ourselves on how to spot good quality. I'm going to be making a whole video about this in the new year, but in the meantime, I'll leave a couple of recommendations in the description box of some resources you can go to if you don't know where to start. It's not your body type or your color season that makes some clothes look so good on you, it's your essence. The popularity of body type analysis and color season quizzes has exploded on the internet over the last couple of years. I've always been a little skeptical of these so-called style rules. I'm not saying that certain colors don't look better on you than others, that's undeniably true. It's just that wearing a cool toned blue if you're a slightly warm toned person isn't going to inherently make you look bad. Just like understanding your color season isn't going to magically elevate your style and solve all of your wardrobe dilemmas, despite what some of the gurus might like you to believe. I also think people should just be more confident in their own judgment. Most of us can tell what colours suit us and what colours we should avoid without having to pay someone £200 to tell us. Knowing your essence, on the other hand, is so underrated and not spoken about nearly enough. Once you know your essence, it unlocks a whole new level of understanding about why you feel so confident in certain clothes and like a complete imposter in other outfits. My whole life, I've been told repeatedly that I have a baby face, an innocent look, and sometimes people think I'm younger than I actually am. This is because I have soft and rounded features in both face and body. There are no angular or dramatic lines in my bone structure. I have narrow shoulders, wide hips, and soft rounded features. This is the #1 reason why I feel and look my best in soft, romantic, and floaty silhouettes. It's why I get so many compliments whenever I wear floral dresses, feminine, romantic clothing, think puff sleeves, ruffles, frills, and sweetheart necklines. These clothes are harmonious with my soft and delicate essence. Equally, on the other hand, this is why I always subconsciously feel a little bit uncomfortable in sharp and dramatic clothing, despite loving those items and those outfits on other people. Anything too corporate, blazers, stiff shirts, tailored trousers, are items I admire on Pinterest time and time again, but never feel quite right on myself. And this is because they're in direct contrast with my natural features. This also can apply to your hair and makeup. If you're soft and delicate like me, you're probably gonna suit more natural makeup and soft wavy hair. Whereas if you're more angular and dramatic, you could totally pull off a sharp winged eyeliner or a really blunt bob. Seek out the brands that are prioritizing functionality as well as aesthetic. More and more in our social media driven world, brands just want to make things look pretty, things that go viral. They want to get you to the point of purchase, the point of buying the item, and actually they don't care how well that functions and how long it lasts in your everyday life. So you need to be actively seeking out those brands that clearly care about functionality, about longevity, as well as making things look good. You might have guessed this is where the sponsor of today's video comes in. Songmon are a beautiful mid-range luxury bag brand, female founded, that really take the time to consider how you're going to be using their bags and not just making them look beautiful, which they also do, by the way. I've been super lucky to be testing out a couple of their bags now. I've had this one for coming up to 2 months. I actually took this away with me on a holiday in November and absolutely loved it because of its design and its aesthetic. I love the bucket bag handheld shape, but also because of its practicality of use. Another bonus tip, which didn't quite make it onto this list, but I'll tell you about now, is that not all leathers are created equally. Before this year, I kind of presumed that if it was made of real leather, it was good quality, but actually there are different grades of leather, and it's really important to know what you're buying. The highest grade of leather is full grain leather, and this is what you want to be looking out for when you're buying leather bags. Both of my Songmont bags are made of full grain leather, and to increase its durability, they actually tumble their leather to give it this pebbled effect, which increases the durability and minimizes the chances of scratching. Despite being an open style bag, it has 2 forms of closure. You have a magnetic closure first of all, and then you have this lock closure, so it really increases the security within this bag. I love that this is top handle, but it also comes with a crossbody strap, increasing that functionality, allowing you to wear this hands-free if you need to. This is the Drippy Roof Bag by Songmon, again in the full grain leather with the tumbled effect. Very durable, but still very luxurious and soft. It has that slightly slouchy effect, especially when you have things in the bag, which is so popular at the moment, very on trend. The bag has these side pockets, which are functional. You can even put your phone or your ID in there, and they are connected to the base of the bag with magnets. The top flap of the bag is also connected with magnets, so it is very secure, and you have the additional security of a zip on this bag as well, which I know so many bags are missing these days. So many of these flat bags and box bags don't have this extra security of a zip, and I know many of you who live in London or other big cities are really conscious of this. So if you are looking for something that is very secure, then this might be the bag for you. All of the bags in the Songmont collection come in a range of sizes and colours, so you can really tailor your bag to suit you. I personally love the burgundy they offer. It's a slightly more neutral burgundy, veering onto the brown side. I think it's perfect for every day if you want that slight pop of the trend, a slight pop of colour, but you still want it to match with the rest of your wardrobe. If you're interested in either of the Songmont bags that I've shown today, they will be linked in the description box down below, along with my discount code, which gets you 12% off your first order. If you don't feel good in something, you don't have to wear it. This sounds super obvious, but it wasn't to me, at least not until recently. For the longest time, I was always on the hunt for the perfect item. The perfect t-shirt, the perfect pair of straight leg jeans, a mini skirt that wasn't too short or too long and I actually felt comfortable wearing. It's only in the last year that it's really dawned on me that if I don't feel good in a t-shirt, I don't even have to own one. I don't think we're helped by the constant bombardment on social media and even traditional media like TV and magazines of these endless lists of wardrobe essentials that every woman must own. The perfect white t-shirt, the oversized blazer, the tailored trousers. Always the same culprits. Sometimes it's easy to forget that our wardrobes can exist and in fact they can thrive without even owning any of these items. The term capsule wardrobe has also been completely taken over by these lists. What was once a helpful tool for shopping less and making the most out of your own wardrobe is now just another opportunity to sell you the same 25 items on repeat. The other problem I have with these lists of wardrobe basics that go with anything, not only do we end up all looking the same, also we all end up looking like we're off to the office 24/7. Have you noticed that? I don't know if that's a product of hustle culture, but they're all very corporate leaning. With the white shirts, the blazers, the tailored trousers, the loafers. I don't know about you, but I don't always or even often want to look like I'm about to go into a business meeting. The irony of this is that more than ever, more of us are working from home, working in more creative roles, and working in offices that don't even require a dress code. These lists are devoid of personality, but that is actually by intention. By making these lists so generic, they have one thing, and that's mass appeal. The influencers and online publications creating these lists want them to appeal to as many people as possible so they can make more sales through their links. The way to do that is to make them as generic and devoid of personality as possible. A particular fashion editor might love all things pink and ruffly, but knows that a plain white shirt is probably gonna sell more. So that's what they include on their list. How you feel in your clothes impacts your confidence 100 times more than how you look in your clothes. If you are like me, you like to invest in high quality clothing, and some people in my real life, people online will never understand that, and that's fine. We're all different. We all prioritize different things, especially when it comes to our budgets. Some people will never understand why, if I have the choice between a £30 100% acrylic white jumper or a very similar looking jumper that's 100% cotton or wool that's £100, why I would always choose the wool or the cotton £100 jumper, even if it looks almost identical to the £30 acrylic one. Wearing quality clothing makes me feel my best. It makes me feel like I'm living a luxurious life. And that isn't about designer labels, it's about how the clothing physically feels and fits on my body. The confidence I feel in a lovely natural fiber knit compared to something made of polyester or acrylic is worlds apart, even if they look identical to the untrained eye. For most of the day, you can't even see your own reflection and you don't truly know what you look like, but you always know how you feel. And that is why I will always advocate for investing in high quality clothing that makes you feel your best if that's a priority to you. No one else thinks you're overdressed, and if they do, that's their problem. I had this real hang up in my early 20s about wearing midi and maxi dresses. I just couldn't bring myself to do it, even though I loved the look of them on other people. And it was because whenever I tried one on, I always felt like I was way too overdressed compared with a mini dress that I felt quite comfortable in. And it was simply to do with the length of the dress. I wasn't used to wearing longer dresses, so whenever I put one on, I felt like people were looking at me and thinking I was way overdressed for whatever occasion I was dressing up for. So unless it was a really special occasion, like a wedding or a party, I just wouldn't wear midi or maxi dresses, which looking back is so silly. If this is you and you are hung up on what other people think about what you're wearing, or you don't feel confident enough to truly express your own style, you really do just have to rip the plaster off. In my experience, the only time I feel self-conscious in an outfit when I'm going outside is if I'm wearing it for the very first time. After that, I just don't really care anymore. The second, third, fourth time I wear something, I just become more and more comfortable in it. However, the secret is when you wear something for the first time, no one else knows you're wearing it for the first time. So just act like you're wearing it for the 100th time and you'll feel so much more comfortable and confident in it. No matter how timeless you think your style is, you will always look back at old outfits and cringe. It seems to me that people are ever more conscious about their style being timeless. And because of that, they're often afraid to take risks. It harks back a little bit to the capsule wardrobes of my earlier point. People default to these very plain, very generic outfits because they're terrified of feeling outdated. This must have something to do with the trend cycle and how quickly trends can come and go now. Back then, you could wear something for 10 years before it might start to feel outdated. Nowadays, you might look back at your outfits from last year and cringe. I don't think there's anything wrong with aiming for timeless style, but I really do think that no matter how generic and basic you make your outfits, inevitably in 10 years, you're still gonna cringe. Trends are still gonna move on, things are still gonna move forward, and the items and the outfits that you thought were totally timeless now are gonna be different 10 years from now. I'm not talking about buying every single micro trend out there, but if there are things that really speak to you and feel emblematic of your personal style now, don't worry if that changes in 5 or 10 years. I think there's actually something quite nice about looking back at old outfits and feeling nostalgic for that time. I look back at my old university outfits and they are very reminiscent of the early 2010s. But in a way that's actually quite nice because it reminds me of the clothes I was wearing at the time, the music I was listening to, and the friends I had. I also think if you're looking back at outfits from 10 plus years ago, you're probably just going to be focusing on how amazing and young you looked in those pictures rather than actually what you were wearing. Embrace your natural features, they suit you best. This final point is something I think that a lot of people begin to realize as they approach 30. You may have spent the bulk of your 20s battling your natural hair color or your natural skin color, tanning every week, dyeing your hair, and actually you get to about 30, you start to strip it back, maybe even out of laziness, and you realize that the skin color and the hair color and the eyebrows that you were born with are actually what are most harmonious with your features. When I was younger, I definitely had moments of wishing I was more tanned and trying to get that more tanned look, but actually over the last few years, I very much embraced my natural skin color, and actually now I can appreciate it for what it is. The contrast between my dark hair and my light skin, I think provides a little bit of drama that is in contrast with my softer features, and it's kind of a nice balance between the two. And I do often see this in my friends and my peers as well. They might have spent their whole 20s dyeing their hair from brunette to blonde, and once they stop doing that, everyone suddenly starts complimenting them on their amazing darker hair. I'm not saying this is always the case, and I'm not saying you shouldn't change things if that would make you feel more confident. I had Invisalign because I certainly wasn't as confident with my natural teeth as I am now with my teeth straighter. So definitely if you have the means to change something and you want to, then go for it. But I just think sometimes you need to strip it back to natural and see how you feel. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something. Let me know down below what your favorite tip was, or is there anything you learned if you've already turned 30 or beyond? What's the #1 style lesson you learned in your 20s that you wish you could have learned sooner? If you're interested in Songmon, again, I will leave my discount code on screen as well as in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. I will also leave some videos on screen that you might enjoy next. Otherwise, I hope you're all having a really lovely day, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!